Party people, it's Chris from ProPhoto. This is Geared Up, our weekly live broadcast where we talk about gear, light shaping tools, flashes. We dive into lighting techniques. We compare things. We have a good time talking about lighting, taking your questions, and learning some stuff. A couple weeks ago, we launched the new softboxes with the white finish on the inside. And I wanted to keep that geared up kind of solely about talking about what a white finish softbox does for you, talking about the sizes and all the things for a launch in general, and saving today for today. And what we're getting into today is comparing the silver finish versus the white finish. I know that I'm coming into this with some preconceived notions, and spoiler alert, I've tested a couple things already, and I'm not 100% sure how I feel about some of the outcomes because it doesn't necessarily make sense to me. But we're going to do it again together so you can see what I'm talking about. We're going to compare the silver versus the white to see how the light feels. We're going to do it in a couple of different variations. My friend John's going to be happy because we will be using a light meter for this. And then on top of that, again, we'll take some questions and maybe break some minds on some things again, because I'm still having maybe this much of a difficult time wrapping my head around it. So let's dive into it. First and foremost, let's talk about what we mean by white finish, silver finish. So let's just do it. For example, I think this is my white one right here. Oh no, this is my silver one right here. My white one's up on the stand. So by finish, we mean the color of the fabric on the inside of the softbox. Now, traditionally, and pretty much always, silver is going to be a much more highly reflective material, giving you more light output, essentially not consuming quite as much and giving you a little more out. The downsides of silver is it can be a lot more pointed, a lot more specular, and sometimes people don't like those highlights. They don't like the specularity of silver. The nice thing about white is it's really smooth, it's really forgiving. It's just not as reflective. So, most of the time you can expect a performance decrease in going to a white lined modifier because you're not getting as much reflectivity back on the light output and therefore losing some of your power. So you have to bump it up a little bit. Again, we're comparing the white finish. So I showed you the silver finish. The white finish is up high. I'm not going to pull it down because I just want to be able to swing this thing around and us get to work. But I can show that a little bit later if you're confused about what I was saying. But just the silver that I showed you, can picture that not silver but white, and that's what the white finish looks like. We're going to be using the 3-foot octa today because I like it. It's good for I think it's good for what we're showing. It's a really great size softbox. If you're looking for something crazy portable, this really, really beautiful, get the 3-footer. I'm a big lover of the 4-footer, but I've been doing a lot more of my on location stuff with the 3-footer, and I'm really, really happy with it. So I think it's probably one of the best sizes for kind of running and gunning. That being said, light-wise, what we're going to be using today, we have the ProPhoto D30 up on this Avenger boom and Avenger stand. People always love to know kind of what stands we're using and things like that too. These are an Avenger roller. I've got a Pro 11 that's nothing more than counterweight. It's a nice problem to have. But yeah, so the Pro 11 is not running. It's just this D30 through the softbox. And again, we're going to shoot it in a butterfly light style look. That way, the way the light falls, we can kind of see a little bit more around the edges of what that light's looking like and get a good idea of kind of what we're gaining, losing, and stuff like that. So are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Did I mess something up? I've generally messed something up. So let's swing this thing around. I want to kind of make sure we're centered up to the background. Let me see. We're good here on my camera. We're good here centered up. So let's talk about the distance between background and subject. So Kate's going to be, yeah, I'm going to have you positioned about right here, I believe, right at the edge of this white seamless. So from the white seamless, we're probably, what did we measure in Chris's last time?
Yeah.
So from here, we're probably about 4 to 5 feet away from Kate. From the light and background, same thing, about 4 to 5 feet. So we should get a nice little cast of light hitting her, but also falling to the background relatively evenly, giving us a nice look. But in some of the things that we're going to have some fun with, especially with the front diffusers, we should be able to see some differences, which will be nice. So again, we're going to start with 3-foot octa in white. I'm going to break out my Pro Photo app because I can control my Connect Pro from my phone. I don't have to take it off the camera, which is really nice. And we're going to meter this up. So let's turn this bad boy on. So here we go. This is for you, John. That's f8.a, so let's bring that bad boy down just a little bit. See where we're at. There we go, f8 on the money. So with the white interior softbox, we're gonna say this out loud together, but we're at a power level of 7.3 at those distances. So now, when we take this shot of Kate, apparently you also have a lawn mowing situation next to our studio, so someone chose this time to cut grass. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. That's a lovely exposure. The white is super smooth, super clean.
Hasn't popped in yet.
Hasn't popped in yet. Yep, we have the pinwheel of doom, if you can see down here. It's awesome. I think the hard drive's spooling up.
If you have any questions, please.
Yep, and if y'all have any questions about anything, please let us know. Hola, hola, hola. What's up? Oh, what's up, Frank? Okay, so apparently Capture One's angry. There we go. That shot right there. So again, the white interior, super smooth, really, really even and nice. Top to bottom, it's just a really lovely light. You can see the actual background all the way down for the most part. It doesn't gradiate out too much. The darkness down low, I mean, it is gradiating a little bit, but the darkness down below is definitely Kate's shadow in the background, but just evenness, it's a really beautiful light source. Now, without her moving, even though she moved, how dare you?
I kept one foot in the same spot.
Yeah.
So I just came back, but see.
Killing me, Smalls.
This, yeah.
Killing me, Smalls. So we're gonna throw the silver one on. Let's see some of the questions we have here. Let's see what the f-stop difference is. So again, silver should be more efficient. So we should get to power down a little bit in theory here. So let's see what happens. You know what? My diffusion panel on the front of this thing's a little wonky. I wanna make sure we're not catching any stray light. So let's get that bad boy on there the right way. There we go. If your diffusion panel isn't adhered all the way, you can actually get straight light out of the sides of the softbox. Not necessarily the ideal situation. There we go. Perfect. So we have our light meter rocking and rolling. We have our Kate. We have our everything else. Let's meter. Pop. So this is where I was talking about mind blow. Same power. It's that the silver and the white interior are given the same f-stop. So I don't have to change anything. If anything, the silver was giving me 1/10 of a stop more light output. I'm going to chalk that up to my hand probably moving and not being right on the money. But the silver and the white softboxes are giving the exact same f-stop coming off of the light. So that messes with me in a way that I don't think you can understand, because in theory, the silver should have given us more light. Like we should be having to power down right now using the silver octa, and we're not. We're in the same setup. So now we're going to take the shot with the silver. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. And it's very nice. The one thing it looks like with the silver, let's pull these up side by side real fast. The silver looks like it's got a little more pop, a little more sparkle here, whereas the white is just a lot smoother. That being said, they both look really, really nice. And they're going to be relatively close, just due to the fact that you're going through 2 layers of diffusion. So you are going through, the center layer is really there to try to help pull back that hot spot that you're gonna get. And then that second layer of diffusion is really gonna even things out some more. So we're pretty dang even, but the silver one does have some directionality to it. Not much, not a ton, but just kind of looking at the face and stuff like that too, it just has a little bit more sparkle than the white does. Which is cool. It's something to keep in mind whenever you want to use softbox. But if you're looking for the smoothness of the smooth, the white is it is a little smoother. Now the differences are subtle, but they're there. Now, one of the places that I wanted to play around with this is taking off the front diffusion panel. So one of the cool things you can do with the softbox is you can remove the front diffusion panel, you can remove the center diffusion panel, you can take off all the diffusion panel, use it like a giant reflector if you want to. But we're gonna take off the front diffusion panel and use the center diffusion only to try to, again, keep the hot spot down, but see how that fabric starts throwing the light. I have a feeling that we're gonna see some bigger differences here because we're gonna have a little more exposure to that silver. Whereas I think the white softbox is probably gonna look pretty much the same. So that being said, since the silver's already on, let's leave it there and we'll just remember that, hey, we reversed. And then again, we'll meter everything up, see how that feels. So let's take off that. The one thing that we're gonna have to do with the silver too is make sure that we're aiming it properly at Kate, because again, silver is pretty directional. So I'm probably gonna have to feather this a hair if I'm not mistaken. I'll probably take a shot and probably have to and probably have to retake the shot just to make sure that we're getting the light around Kate. Whereas the white's gonna be way more forgiving. But let's
I would push the side back a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, you're right. So I'm just gonna push this until you see it a little more even.
That's good.
That's good? Mm-hmm. Again, it's one of the things you have to pay attention to with silver. That goes with umbrellas, reflectors, everything.
I'm looking to make sure that I don't have any flood over the sides. I can't see anything.
Yeah. And so now let's check this with the flash meter. Let's see where we're metering now. I'm probably gonna have to power down some because we just, gained back probably a half a stop, maybe do a stop. I can't remember what that diffusion panel is, so let's see. F8.6, so let's bring that back. There we go. F8, cool. So now let's take a shot of just the silver with the center diffusion panel. And I suspect that we're gonna see a much different look to the light. 3, 2, 1. Very much so. So one of the things you're gonna see right off the jump is the light is definitely throwing kind of a vignette. So you would definitely have a concentrated hot spot and you see it taper off towards the edges. It's a very cool effect. I almost think that this is aiming too low on Kate's face. I'm gonna point it up just a little bit. I think that's the right thing to do here.
Okay.
No, you're fine. How does that feel right there?
Yes, but also, yeah, there you go.
Okay, let's just try that. I just want to see what the difference is. Cool. 3, 2, 1. All right, let's see the difference between those two. Yeah, so we raised the light up just a little bit. It still vignettes out. You can kind of see here at the edge, or you kind of see right here how that light spots out. Still nice and soft. We do have the shadow here starting to show up a little bit more pronounced. But we have still nice coverage, but you can see we're vignetting out quite a bit here. Let's do the same thing with the white interior. Now with the double diffusion on the white interior, we had no difference in light output from silver to white, which again, kind of blows my mind a little bit. Let's see what happens with one layer of diffusion removed. And then whenever was it Dave a couple weeks ago? Was his name David? Who wanted me to take a picture of the front of the things? I feel like it was David. I could be wrong. David, if it's you, or if I'm getting your name wrong, at the end of this, we're gonna take a photo of the actual front of the diffusion panel so you can see how the light's gathering on the inside.
And I do see your comments in there. We'll jump over there.
Yeah, we'll come check that out here in just a second. I told Kate before we started this thing, I was like, hey, once you stand in place, like, don't move. We're not moving.
She's only letting me do one job at a time.
Yeah, one job at a time today. She's not multitasking. We're keeping it together. So let's see where we're at here. So this one is with one layer of diffusion removed. It is a little underpowered by almost half a stop. So we're going to bring that up. There we go. All right, now, so with the silver exposed and the white interior exposed, the silver is about a half stop more powerful. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Again, super smooth. Super smooth. And that's what I suspected was going to happen. You can move your feet.
I'm free.
Yes, you're free. So let me real fast. I'm going to pull up these 4 images together so we can, let's hit full screen. Let's pull up these 4 images together so we can talk about them. You're just going to go full on.
Oh, they can't see you.
Oh, now they can. Cool. So let's talk about these 4 images together. So the first 2 images, so let's just talk about what the images are in the first place. So image left and right, farthest on the edge, those are done with the white softbox. The 2 images in the middle are done with the silver. So again, the silver softbox, let's talk about the first 2 images, which is the white softbox followed by the silver softbox. The silver has a little bit more sparkle to it than the white one does, even with double diffusion, but the similarities are, they're pretty subtle, okay? But there's, but kind of the skin tone, the look of the skin tone on the one to the right, the second image has a little bit more sparkle to it. They're still pretty even. I'm looking at the shadow to see if maybe there's some more pronunciation on the shadows. But again, that double diffusion really helps to play that down. Then for the third image, we took that silver softbox and we stripped the front layer of diffusion off. What that's going to do is it's going to expose the edges of the silver while also still keeping a layer of diffusion right in the center. So we're still getting some soft light, but some of that harder light is kind of creeping out around the edges. And that's what we have there with that third image. You can see that it vignettes out quite a bit. So we have definitely more of that hot spot in the middle. You can even see with the color shift in the background compared to the other 3 images. So the silver, again, that's that spotting effect that I was letting you know that is going to happen whenever that silver comes into play. And then this is what I suspected, and what's kind of cool about the white softbox is I was able to pull off that front layer of diffusion, gain back some power because we're not running through that single layer of diffusion, and for the most part, the softness, if I'm comparing the first image and the fourth image, the softness is relatively on par with one another. What that means for you, if you find yourself in a scenario where maybe you're having to push your softbox a little bit harder and you need a little bit more output, if you're using the white softbox and you want to maintain that softness, you can literally strip that front layer of diffusion off, gain back, I think we were probably pushing, if I'm not mistaken, about a power level of 8 on the a power level of 8, or it's like 7.5 or 8. I can't remember off the top of my head. But we gained at least a half a stop back by pulling off that front diffusion panel, and that could make all the difference for the shot that you have. So something to keep in mind there. We good, Kate?
We're all good. Perfect.
So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to roll this light into place. This is a Profoto D3. I'm going to turn that one off, and we're going to shoot into the softbox just to see how the light fills the unit itself. And that way you can kind of visually understand what's happening in the way the light is gathering inside the softbox and being pushed out through the diffusions. So it should be very interesting. And then I think it'll also kind of help visualize what I mean by how the silver collects the light versus how the white disperses the light a little more evenly. So since this is the one I pulled down, let's start with the white reflector, the white softbox. And let's, you know what, I'm gonna Try to maintain the zoom position. Let's go to 4. And let's put this diffusion panel on. Perfect. And now you can also, you can see as I'm putting this on what I was talking about with the white finished interior. So that's what we mean by that. So good way of putting on diffusion panels is start with a corner, grab the corners, put the corner in place. So this is another little pro tip for installing diffusion to try to mitigate any like lumpiness or stray light. Thanks, Kate. That was way better than me worried about lumpiness. That's actually,
lumpiness works too.
you know. Cool. So let's get that white diffusion panel up there. Also want to try to keep it relatively taut so you can see what it is that we're talking about. Cool. So let's kick off that D30. B3 is.
I bet the lawnmower is going to stop by the time live is over.
Oh, 100%.
What do you think?
No, the lawnmower will be done. The lawnmower will be done right as we tell everyone arrivederci. There would be no more lawnmower situation. So I'm just trying to back this up a little bit to get it in my frame. I'm shooting with an 85 millimeter equivalent, so instead of changing out lenses, I think I can just back up a little bit. Yeah, and then I'll just shift over. And then I'll lock that into place and see if we, that way we won't have to keep doing that. Perfect. So let's lock those wheels down. Now I will say this, roller stands massively convenient until you don't need it to move. And then you're like, oh, I forgot to lock the wheels down. So perfect. Let's flip over into TTL mode. Just because I don't want to, honestly, I don't want to meter it. I'm being lazy on this one. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Counted down a softbox, just in case anyone was wondering. Were you ready, softbox? I hope so. Perfect. So that's our white finished interior. As you can see, looking at it, pretty smooth around the edges. A little bit of a hot spot in the middle, to be expected. The light is firing directly. Let's set this up in that zoom position of 4 like I did on the white softbox. Let's load back up this diffusion panel. These are the same one stop of diffusion. So that's something to keep in mind again when I was talking about with the white softbox and pulling that front diffusion panel off. You can gain back a stop of light with it, which is really nice. If you're in a scenario where you need a little bit more light output, but you want to maintain that smoothness, man, you can't beat these white interior softboxes. They just have, again, just this nice level of evenness that comes out of the softbox itself, and then being able to remove that front layer of diffusion to gain back some light if you find yourself in a situation where you want to use a softbox but you're also going to be battling the outdoor light and maybe you're pushing high-speed sync super hard. That's a really good tip, good thing to remember. So we have the silver. I'm going to count it down 2 just for evenness sake. 3, 2, 1. And that right there should show you a lot about how the light's gathered between the two softboxes. So let's, command click, check that out. So when we're talking about how the light coming out of the softbox with the white is very, very even compared to the directionality that comes from silver, this is what we're talking about. The left side is the white finish softbox, very even top to bottom, left to right, a little bit of a hot spot in the middle. To be expected, the light is firing directly into the softbox. It is not an indirect octa. That would be something interesting to do, is also to compare these things with the zoom rod. Maybe we'll do that again here. Maybe we'll do that in another live now that I'm thinking about that. Okay. So we'll pull out the zoom rod and see how these things perform in an indirect mode. That would actually be quite interesting. So, but direct, the traditional way that most people use in a softbox, again, the white is insanely even, and you can see how the silver gathers that extra light. Look how much more brightness we have around those edges, while that center layer diffusion is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, which is keep the hot spot low. But it's just not as even as the white is. So that's something to keep in mind whenever you're talking about these soft boxes. I think it's really, really telling looking at it like this and then going back and seeing the images. Again, the first 2 images that we were talking about, and I can pull those back up if we need. So
I don't know.
here, I got
I'll let
you.
you capture
I got you.
one.
I'll jump off the screen for 3 seconds. You should just go over onto the camera and mouth like you're the one talking.
Oh, sure.
So again, with the 2 images on the left, image 1 and 2, first one shot with the white softbox, second with the silver. The silver's got a little bit more crispness to it that the white one doesn't necessarily have, but again, overall relatively even. Here's where things get interesting, what we were talking about with the level of diffusion when you remove the first layer of diffusion. The silver one, the pointedness of the silver really starts to show its face here. We can see that we have a hot spot right in the middle. We have this big vignette happening. The image has like kind of this interesting glow to it. Really, really fun, but this is that thing that I was talking about was really, really cool with the white softbox.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, baby, does finish matter?
Yeah, it does. I'm a silly goose.
Just hit cut, yeah.
There
we go, I'm back. Finish does matter.
Listen,
She just wanted you to ask yourself, does it matter? Again, so that we could say that it does. Also, we have a production assistance job available. If anyone would like to apply.
Bye.
So the silver one, again, is really, really pointed, but this is what we were talking about with that final image with the softbox, no layer diffusion. Look all the way back over to the very first image. They're pretty similar. And knowing that you have the power to pull that back and gain back, a stop of light, huge deal. So something to keep in mind. I think that's something that's really, really interesting with the white softbox. Any questions from anybody? Did we answer everything?
We did. We answered everything in terms of our softboxes, but we do have a unrelated question if we want to get to that.
I'll take an unrelated question because I think we covered everything.
Yeah. Let's see. So Patrick Burns, I'm going to actually switch over here.
Patrick wants to know,
Let's see.
how are my dance moves?
Yes.
Terrible.
2 questions. Let's see. I have a B2 system with 2 heads and Canon R. What can you use to trigger lights besides the $400 trigger? Will a second click softbox? Let's see.
Hold on, just click show. Yeah.
There we go.
So I have 2 questions, not about today's show, but I have a B2 system with 2 heads and a Canon R. What can I use to trigger my lights besides the $400 trigger? And second, will the click softbox, I'm guessing you're asking if the click softbox will work. So let's answer that one first. Click softboxes don't work. They're a 70 millimeter mount, whereas your B2 heads are the traditional 100 millimeter. Now, if you're just looking for quick open softboxes, what we're talking about today is these. We're talking about these softboxes right here, and they are just as quick to close and open. They're just not magnetically attached. They work with the traditional 100 millimeter silicone clamp. Now, do you have to use a Profoto trigger? Depends on what you're looking for your B2 to do. So if you want all the features, you want high-speed sync and TTL and stuff like that, yes, you need to use a Profoto remote. Do you have to use the new Connect Pro? You don't, because you're not really going to get all the features of the Connect Pro. You could look on the used market and grab a Profoto TTL remote. Your TTL and your high speed
You're speaking about as well as I am today. Oh my goodness.
Sync. High speed sync. High speed sync. Sally sold seashells by the seashore. Your high speed sync. Grab a Profoto remote off the used market. It's a great place to get one of the original TTLCs. Do that. Now, if you just absolutely you're like, you know what, I love my B2, but I don't like Profoto remotes, which are crazy. They're very, very good, especially the Connect. You can use any combination of remotes. You just have to plug something into the sync port of the battery pack, the generator of your B2. So yes, you can. There's a sync port on the B2. You just plug into that thing. You don't have to use a Profoto branded remote. But if you want the full capabilities of what the B2 can do, a Profoto TTLC would be awesome for you. Like I said, grab one on the used market and you do some really good stuff. So cool. Anything else?
other triggers still available?
Do we have any other triggers still available? No, but you could always also check with some of the big dealers that sell used stuff. If you're here in the States, I know, Roberts, B&H, Sammy's got some used stuff. Almost a lot of the stores have used stuff. Adorama's got used stuff. I'm trying to think. PPR here in Atlanta has some used stuff. You can check with your local dealer, your local Pro Photo dealer. You can check online. You can check some of the marketplaces for a used one. Make sure that the person's legit. If you're going to go about some of that stuff, the dealers are legit. So I might try to go that route first. But yeah, it's a great remote. Any other things? Any other questions?
Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. So again, just wanted to talk about the difference between the finishes. Wanted to show you some images. Wanted to show you some things that you can think about and different ways to possibly use your softbox that can be very, very beneficial for your photography in general. So again, using that white interior softbox with the front diffusion removed, if you need a little bit more output but maintaining that smoothness, is a really, really great option. So yeah, and that's it. With that being said, if y'all have any questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I know Caitlin's put my Instagram handle up there. It's probably the easiest way to get in contact with me. I'm at @ChrisFane. Just hit me up anytime. We can chat about anything. If you want to talk about your lighting, if you have any questions about gear in particular, I'd love to, or if you just want to say hi, I'd love to catch up with you. I really, really appreciate everyone who reaches out to me. In the meantime, I hope you have an awesome rest of your week. And then we got another Geared Up next week, so we should be having some more fun next week too. So in the meantime, peace out, everybody.